Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome to another week of our scripture art journaling. And this week's scripture comes from Psalm 62:2. You know, sometimes in our lives we feel like we are not on a firm foundation, and maybe sometimes we feel like things are about to crumble around us and we're going to go with it. But I wanted to remind you of something and kind of tell you a scripture that's kind of my mantra, and I love this. I kind of use it for, I guess we all have a scripture we pull up in different situations, but when I feel weak or I feel like I'm going to fall apart, I lean to this one. And this one is Psalm 62:2. It says, "He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken." And I love this verse because it reminds me so much that I am going to come against temptation and problems and trials and things like that, but I don't have to be greatly shaken. I don't have to be ruined over things. And I love that. And I hope that you can take that away, that you can read the scripture this week and study on it and realize that, yes, things are going to happen. Um, you're going to go through hard times and difficult situations because that's what we call life and life more abundantly. But when you hit those brick walls, when you hit that moment in your life when you just feel like you're done and you can't go any further, you don't have to be shaken. You're allowed to be joyful and happy, even though you're going through a trial, which sounds crazy, but you are allowed. That's actually what God would rather you do. So I will not be shaken, and I know that I won't be because my salvation comes from the Lord, and He alone is worthy, right? I think that's it. So it's funny, whenever I think about my fortress and my salvation and I won't be shaken, I think of rock or stone or concrete or brick. And I have these new background stamps that I've been playing with like crazy, and I could not wait to use this one in my scripture art journal book. This is the one that looks like a brick wall, and I was like, I've got to play with this, and I've come up with a couple of ways I think are going to work for my book. So here's what I've done. This is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper cut in half at 5.5, because that's the size of my art journal book. And most of you know I journal outside of my book and then glue it in because that's just the way I like to do it. Now, I'm going to do this background in a fairly pale color. This one is called Toffee Crunch. And I'm going to go around and ink this background. And I'm going to try to miss some spots. I'm not going to try to be perfect with it, but I'm going to try to have it kind of splotchy because I want the feel of brick, but I don't want it to be perfect. So I've missed some areas. Now, if you want to make sure you've missed areas, take your paper and put underneath it, and you can kind of see where that ink is, but I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to use this, and let me get a scrap piece of paper so I can rub it down real quick. I got my scrap paper here, and I'm going to take my cardstock, and I'm going to lay it onto the brick pattern like so, and then I'm going to rub it down. Now, it's not quite long enough for my page, and I'm not going to worry about that. I may trim it off. I may not. I'm just going to let it be like it is. So I've got this background. I'm addicted to these backgrounds, guys. Look how cool this looks. And look what happens by skipping some of the spots. See how it looks kind of worn away, like the brick is gone? I'm in love with this. Now, I'm also enjoying lately those roses. Look, this is my sample, that kind of look like this, that kind of are circles. And you've seen them probably a lot where with die cuts, there's a lot of digital cuts you can get that look like this. And I just have seen them a lot lately, and I really wanted to try to make some of my own. So let me show you what I did. I created my own rubber stamps using some rubber bands. I've done this technique before on a larger scale, but I wanted to try it like this. So I'm going to show you start to finish how to make one of these rubber band stamps, and I'm going to zoom you in for it. I have a block. It doesn't necessarily have to be this size. It can be any size that you want to do it. And you need a rubber band. And you pick the size of rubber band that you want. What I did, I'm getting a rubber band now. Matter of fact, I think I'll use a smaller block for this one. What I did was I picked 3 different sizes. So let me bring these in so you can see I have like small, medium, and large on these guys. All right. And then I have this glue. This is the equivalent of Zig two-way glue. This is Bonding Memories from Close to My Heart, but it's basically the same thing as Zig, and I've had this forever and I use it all the time. And the trick behind this is when it's wet and you adhere it to a surface, it is permanent. But if you put it onto your surface and let it dry, it becomes tacky. So here's what I did. I just dotted this adhesive around one side of the rubber band. Now, my rubber band's laid nice and flat, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to put any pressure on them, and you don't care if they're perfectly circle. It does not even matter. Now we're going to let this dry on here until it's clear and we can't see it anymore. When that happens, all you do is put your block down on it and it will stick. I'm going to sit this to the side so we can keep going. And then if I remember, I'll show you what that looks like in a few minutes, because knowing me, I'll forget. But now I want to show you this. So I'm going to use these rubber bands to make a flower or several flowers. I want to do one here and maybe a couple like this, and then I'm going to do my scripture up in this area. So I want to show you what my plan is. I'm going to start with the biggest circle and just some red ink. Now I want to show you this too. I did a lot of playing with this, okay? This is the one I did with solid inking, where I inked up the rubber band every time and stamped it down. This is what it looks like in second generation, and this is what it looked like when I was mixing together and doing some tests and stuff. I even tried a leaf situation, but it didn't work out. But anyway, I kind of like the way this looks, where it's a mixture of solid and second generation. I don't care for that center, so we're going to let that go. So anyway, I just played. That's what I was doing. I was like, you know what? I think this will work. And I love those circular swirly roses I'm seeing all over Pinterest lately. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to stamp it here like so. I'm going to go ahead and establish the first shape of the rose. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I don't stamp this in the very same position, and I get some movement out of it by taking it, turning it, and moving it a little bit. See how I'm getting that look? I love this. I think this is super cool. There's always a way to do something, right? There's always a way to get what the look you want in crafting. I think that's really neat. Now I'm just going to twist and turn till I find the spot I want to put it in, and I'm thinking something like that. Now, I did not do any second generation on this guy. I haven't yet, so I think I'm going to wait to do it because I may like it just like it is. Now I'm going to bring over my next rubber band. I find it easier to lay it down and take the ink to it. And try to be very flat with your ink. Try not to do any tilting, because that's where you get all the ink on your block. Although I'm still getting some on my block, but not too bad. Then I'm going to come in here and kind of fill in the gaps to make more of the flower shape. So there's one. Let's do another one. I just think this is super fun. I can't wait to see what you guys do. Every time I show something, you guys do so much better than I do. I see yours and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So, stamp that one down like that. All right, now you can do the center as well. So I have the small one right here, and I'm just going to do some middle. So what I'm going to do is not go directly in the center because it's hard for me to mix it around. I'm going to kind of go off center a little bit. Then with my next one, I'm going to go off center again. Oop, but I want to twist it a little bit and go something like this. And then I'm going to twist it one more time and kind of fill in over there. I think that makes a pretty cool flower looking thing, like those new ones I'm seeing everywhere. I just love that. So now I'm going to do another one up here, but I'm going to start with the smaller flower, so it'll be a little smaller in size. I just really wanted to have the bricks and the flowers. You know, it kind of reminds me of being tough, but then again, being grounded. I just thought that was really good for this scripture. And what a great way to get in your craft room and just play, so you can meditate on the Word and on the Lord and what He has for you. I love this process. Now, since we've been working on this one has dried. I want to show you by taking that block and just touching it down. It just picks it up, and it's temporarily adhered to your block. Then, when you take this off, you can just clean your block, no issue. Now we just want to make some leaves. Now you can do this with your stamp sets, or you can do this by hand, whatever way you decide. I think I'm going to do mine by hand, and I'm going to draw them in with a pencil first and then come back and do them with a marker. So I'm just going to come right here, and I'm going to let them be very almost cartoon leafy, like very leafy, if that's a way to describe it. Now I've gotten into my Spectrum Noir stash, and I've gotten 3 different greens, and I think I'm going to color, oops, wrong end. I'm going to color the stems and the outline of the leaves in the darkest green. So I'm just going to take this and go over that pencil mark. Then I'm going to outline the leaves. But not on all of them. Only some of the leaves I'm going to do in the dark green. I'm going to save some to do in the different colors of green, and that's how I'm going to give myself the variations of color, because I want to have a very line drawing because my roses are very liney. So that's what I'm looking for here. Now I'm really going to get weird. Are you ready for this? I'm going to take my fingertip and dip it onto some brown rich cocoa ink, and I'm going to make my flower centers using my fingertip. And I'm kind of getting my fingerprint, which I think is kind of cool. So I think that's kind of neat for flower centers. Just something to kind of darken them up. This would be a neat way if you wanted to use your kids for flower centers. That would be cool, right? To put their fingerprints in there. Just a thought. Now I feel like we need some little buds. So I'm just going to take a red marker, and just kind of put in some little red buds here and there. They don't have to be very accurate. Just to put some red in places where we don't have it. On the bottom of those buds, I'm kind of connecting them to a stem with a little bit of green. Just some dots at the bottom. Very abstract, very loose. I like that. Now we have room here at the top for our scripture. I'm going to start with pencil, and I'm going to decide what portion of the scripture I want to put in there. I think I'm just going to put, I will not be shaken, because that's my favorite part. I think that's what I'll do. So I'm going to start with the word shaken. Then it's time for markers again. What color do I want to use? I think I'll use black. Yep, I like this one. Okay, so I'm going to go over my cursive writing for the I will not. There's I will not be, and then I'm going to do shaken. I'm going to outline or color in the outline. Now I'm going to color inside of those letters with this really pretty bright blue. I think it'll be pretty to add another color. So there's that. And now I'm just going to take a regular pen and put the scripture reference right here. Psalm 62:2. I love that. I think that turned out pretty cool. I mean, a lot of playing with textures maybe. And I know that flowers and brick is kind of a texture situation. So I like the way that looked. And now it's going to go right in my book. I really like it in the book. Awesome. All right, I'm going to glue this guy down. There we go. It's in the book and ready for another week. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think it was a pretty neat little thing to do. I'll probably do this again on cards. I think I can make roses like that pretty easy now. And just to show you, you can then, these are dirty, so let me do the one I didn't ink. You can then peel them off. And there's a little bit of sticky on my block, but not bad. And I can just clean the block and we're ready to go for the next time. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. I hope that this has been a blessing to you. If this is your first time for catching our scripture art journaling, be sure to head over to our Facebook group, which is called Hide His Word in My Heart, and see what all's going on over there. We have some prayer that we do together. We have some art journaling and some more inspiration for you guys, and I look forward to talking with you over there as well. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.